Hello, this is Patty, and I'm doing this video because I'm checking out my new camera. It's not really new, but it was recently fixed, so I wanted to make a quick video to make sure that it was recording everything appropriately. I had some wonderful ideas of something I wanted to talk about, and I think it was on the same kind of theme I was on earlier today when I was talking about, maybe it wasn't today, but the other day, when I made a video about being dependent upon something, an entity that, obviously, if you're dependent upon it, it's controlling you. And I have been thinking about all of the ways in which we are controlled and we're not really living a true human experience on this planet, but we're more like pawns that are being manipulated, and we're being manipulated by forces that are distracting us, things that are keeping us so busy that we don't even realize that we're not experiencing life the way that we should be. So I watched this video today that kind of went into this, and I won't go into the conspiracy of all of this. Maybe it's not a conspiracy, but anyway, there are some things that you may be aware of that are possible I guess factors that would prove to you that you are being controlled, you are being manipulated. First of all, let's look at the whole concept of feminism and the women's movement, which, don't get me wrong, I believe that all humans are created equally. All humans, obviously, well, let me take that back. Obviously, not all humans are created equally. All humans have different abilities. Not everybody can do the same thing. You know, for instance, I'm only 5'4" tall, so me being a professional basketball player in the NBA is probably not something I have the ability to do. Whereas someone else who's much taller and can slam dunk and do whatever people do when they play basketball, they can do those things. So we're not all created equal. So why am I talking about this with regards to feminism? Well, the whole women's movement was that we're all created equal, which is, I think, a good concept, a good idea. It makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside, but women are good at certain things that men are not good at, and vice versa. Men are good at things that women are not good at. And one thing that I have embraced recently is this whole notion of I have certain needs in my life, things that I cannot do, that I would greatly benefit from having a man do them. I'm not going to go into a bunch of detail here, but that's kind of where we're coming to with this. So, with that in mind, when we look at where feminism has taken us, and are we really better off? Are we better than we were before all of this came to be? Now, obviously, there's a lot of different fields where women are becoming more prominent, and that's fine. You know, if we look at different types of jobs, like, you know, doctors, physicians, I don't think it's necessarily, you know, something only a male or a female can do as far as treat the sick. I think that is something that is equally done between men and women. Both men and women can understand how the human body works, and they can, with that knowledge, help guide a person to make better health choices. Or if we look at allopathic medicine, they could possibly both cut into a person's abdomen to remove some sort of growth, right? So both men and women can do that, and that's fine. But if you are in a relationship with the opposite sex, or even with the same sex, and you procreate, you have a child, is it necessary for both the man and the woman to work? Do they both need to work? And a lot of studies have shown that it's actually beneficial to the child if one parent stays home. So I think that in a relationship like that, you should maybe sit down with your partner and ask the question, which one of us has the better ability to raise a child, which isn't, I can imagine, only something that's not very easy to do, but very incredibly time consuming, and there's a lot at stake, with helping to raise a child so that they're curious about the world, so that their questions are answered. They're not just brushed off to the side, because children are incredibly curious little creatures. They want to know about the world around them. And so, what have we done? Well, we've taken our children, and very young, they start going into daycare. Why are they going into daycare? Well, because both men and women are working. And with the women's movement, women want to work. They feel like that it's their duty to go out and get a job. And that's fine. I'm not mad that women are working. I mean, I'm a woman and I'm working. What I'm a little upset about is you're bringing a child into the world and both parents want to work, and you want to then allow some other individual to raise your child and to fill their mind with the answers to all of the questions they're going to have. And what kind of answers are those going to be? Well, look at the entities you're sending your children to. If it's anything that's run by the government, then your child is probably going to learn things about hierarchy, about respecting entities that deserve respect for no other reason other than that they have power in the form of a gun, which is held by a police officer, which is in control of the state. The state is basically the army within the country. Is that what you want your child to do? To blindly obey? Not question? Because children have lots of questions. So that might be something you want to think about. It took me, I would say, I'm 40 now. It took me about 38 years before I started to really question. Why am I paying taxes? What is taxation? What happens if I don't pay my taxes? What happens if I do something against the law, but in my mind, in my heart, in my soul, I know that it's good to break the law in this case, or it's good to not follow the rules? I mean, are we supposed to blindly obey, or are we supposed to question? Are we supposed to look at a situation, analyze it, and then make the best choice based on what that situation is calling for? I think it's important that we all start waking up to the fact that There are powers that don't want us to think critically. There are powers that don't want us to be curious. They just want us to obey. And that's the first thing you learn when you go to any kind of school, any kind of public or even private education. You are groomed to be obedient. The teacher has rules. You're supposed to follow them. You can't question them. You know, we talk about we want our children to think critically. We want our children to be, to question, to be curious. But yet, if they question authority, if they question the teacher, if they question a rule, they're yelled at, or they're just told that that's just the way it is. I don't have children. I have dogs and cats. But if I had a child, I definitely would not be sending my child to any kind of indoctrinating educational experience. I would, sorry, I've got the TV on and it looks just really annoying what I'm looking at. So I've got to change it. So yeah, I would not indoctrinate my children, because I don't want them to have to go through 40 years of obeying and not being taught anything that is going to benefit them in the long term. I mean, the things that I've learned in school, none of them are helping me survive. I've gotten into lots of debt because I wasn't taught how to manage. I wasn't taught basic economics. Just, I don't know, I get fed up with it all. So anyway, I've talked for 12 minutes and I'm going to be testing to see if this camera's working, so we'll see. That's all I want to talk about tonight. Peace.